Years ago, in Bethlehem, in the land of Israel, there lived a young shepherd boy named David. David was gifted with sharp eyes and strong hands. Whenever wild animals tried to seize a lamb from his folk, David would take his sling and hurl stone after stone at the wild animals till it fled into the jungle. His aim was precise, and he never missed his mark. One day, the army of the Philistines suddenly came marching across the hills. King Saul of Israel gathered his own army and went out to face them. David's 3 elder brothers went to the war. David was told to stay at home to tend the sheep. "You are too young," they told him. "Stay in the fields and keep the folk safe." They added. 40 days went by, and still there was no news of the battle. Finally, David's father called him and said, "Take this food to your brothers in the camp and see how they are doing." David set out next morning. He walked all the way up the hill where King Saul's army was camped. He found his brothers. As he stood talking to them, a sudden hush fell upon King Saul's army. David looked up and saw that on the opposite hillside, where the Philistine army camped, stood a great giant. His shield was very large, and he slashed the air with his mighty sword. "That is the great giant Goliath," David's brothers told him. "Each day he climbs the hill and loudly challenges us, but no one from the Israel army dares stand before him."
"What? Are the men of Israel cowards?"
asked David.
"I have no fear, and I will go forth and meet this giant myself,"
he declared. He went to meet King Saul. When the king saw that David was only a boy, he discouraged him. But David was determined.
"I will be safe,"
he said.
"Very well,"
said King Saul.
"Go, and may God save you."
David set out from the camp of Israel, with his shepherd's bag and sling hanging by his side. He ran down the hillside and came to a stream, where he picked up 5 smooth pebbles. The army of King Saul watched in silence from one hill, while the army of the Philistines watched from the other. The great giant saw David and strode out to meet him. When Goliath saw that it was only a boy coming, he stopped and began to laugh.
"Do the men of Israel mock me by sending a child against me?"
he roared.
"Turn back, or I will tear you into pieces,"
he told in anger. Brave David was not afraid. He put his hand into his bag and took a sharp pebble. He fitted it into his sling, and his keen eye found a target in the giant's forehead that the helmet did not cover. As Goliath rushed forward to attack David, he drew his sling and hurled the pebble with all his might. It whizzed through the air and struck Goliath's forehead. The giant tottered and then fell crashing to the ground. As he lay senseless with his face upon the earth, David ran quickly to his side, pulled out the giant's own sword, and killed him. As soon as the army of Israel saw this, they rose with a great war cry and rushed down the hillside. And when the army of the Philistines saw their greatest warrior slain by a mere boy, they fled towards their own land.